friend Karen White, who is a nationally famous author, was in Peoria a few weeks ago to speak to a group of people, book clubs. I got a chance to catch up with her at the House and Lake Country Club, and we had this interview. Today we are talking with Karen White, who is one of my favorite authors. Somebody introduced her recently as a Georgia author, but you're national now. I mean, you are
scary
all
thought,
the way.
Yes,
yes, you
yes,
are.
Yes.
You know,
I get around. Yeah.
You get around, yes, and you're getting ready to have your 15th book.
Yes.
And it comes out November 1st, and the title?
The Strangers on Montagu Street.
And by that title, Montagu Street, Southern set.
Charleston set, not South of Broad this time. This my first two books in the series were, but this is still historic Charleston.
So this is the one that started with the house on Trad Street.
Correct.
And then there was a second book.
The Girl on Legree Street, which other people, if you're not in Charleston, you'll say Laguerre, but it's actually Legree.
Now this one, and then there'll be a fourth.
There will be, and it's only
that will wrap
in my
it up.
eye right now, so I can't tell you what it's about.
Okay, so it's up here. But then you also have standalone books.
Yes.
And you have another book coming out in June of next year.
Yes.
And what's it about?
It's set, well, I'm only on chapter 8. It's set in St. Simons, Georgia. We don't have the title is only tentative now. So it's not a beach book, although it is set on St. Simons. And it's almost kind of Southern Gothic contemporary.
Oh,
it's very, yeah.
Which is what you do so good.
I know. You know, well, I grew up reading Victoria Holt. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
so,
Phyllis Whitney.
Yes.
Those were the contemporaries
yes,
right there.
Yes.
Oh
Love
my gosh.
them. So that's how I bit bit my reading teeth on those, or whatever it's called. Cut my reading teeth on Victoria Holt and the Gothic. So. And Rebecca's one of my favorite books of all time.
Well, you know, one time I compared one of your books. I said there aren't many authors that can be compared to Bronte and du Maurier. And I think you have that essence about your writing too.
Well, yeah, I try to. I've always been attracted to books with lots of atmosphere in them, so I think it's only natural that I try to write books with a lot of atmosphere in them. For me, my settings are always a primary character.
But Karen, you must just be a sponge, because there is so much in your books about atmosphere. You know, places, settings. You know, you know what the weather is. You know what the lay of the land is. How do you do that?
I always try to visit. When I wrote on Folly Beach, and I had to rent a house for a week, which was, you know, I know. So, and I visit Charleston a lot for the Charleston series, so that I can eat at the restaurants and all of that, and really get the lay of the land, because you can look at a map and not really get, oh yeah, there's that cute pharmacy on the corner. Although I will say, I wrote The Beach Trees, which is set in Biloxi, New Orleans. Now, I knew New Orleans from the 80s because that's where I went to college, but I didn't know it today. I didn't know that my favorite pastry shop isn't there anymore. Google Earth, you plug in an address, and you're right there on the ground, and you can look down and see what the asphalt looks like, and you know what house is here, and it's amazing.
Yes, but you've got to have the talent to pull that in.
That, and also I think an affinity for some place. I could never write about a place I don't have an affinity for. People keep on saying, oh, you should write about Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. Beautiful places. I visited them. I love them, but I didn't have that emotional connection to them like I do with the South Carolina Low Country or Charleston or St. Simons. Those are places that I kind of just feel here. And I think when you feel it inside, then it's easy to sort of interpret the setting to make it a character.
But what's great, though, is like when you write about the Low Country, you expose the world, so to speak, to that.
Yeah, which is good and bad, because I don't...
It's a heavy responsibility.
You know, I've actually heard book clubs from all over the country actually make girls' weekend trips down to Charleston, and they check off all the restaurants and everything that I've listed in all those books, so they, you know, can visit them all.
Karen White tour.
Yes, and I'm thinking the Charleston Visitors Bureau should be giving me a cut or something.
As you drive into Charleston, should be your face right there.
I agree. Welcome to Charleston.
All right, let's talk about this. I know that several of your books had been on the extended list of the New York Times, but then you cracked the top 20.
Yes. Which
book did that for you?
Number 14, The Beech Trees, and it cracked at number 14, so I'll always remember that.
What did that feel like?
It was kind of, I remember I was in Charleston, and I was in the middle of a signing, actually, and my phone rang, and I saw it was a 212 number, and it was my publisher calling, and I was just sort of, it was unreal. I mean, because it's something I've been looking forward to for years, and I just never thought it was something that would happen to me. Someone who did was a complete surprise. So now you will be known as New York Times best-selling writer. Yes.
Karen, because you cracked the top 20.
I've actually asked my children to address me as such.
As a honey.
Yes.
And your husband.
Yes, yes.
The honorable
Mrs.
Karen.
New York Times.
But you know, I want people to know that too. That you are married. You have a daughter and a son.
And a dog.
And a dog. And you have. You were telling me before you came down to the Perry today. You had a load of laundry to do.
And other issues.
And then other issues. You know, so people think, oh, you're the Jackie Collins.
I wish. Yeah, life would be a lot easier.
Life would be a lot easier. You write a lot about relationships in your books. I know, especially in the Trad Street series, there's the mother and daughter. Now, do you pull from your own life for that, or do you pull from people you know?
I think, so many things I've been able to, characters I'm able to pull sort of as a mixture of people that I know. The personal family relationships, especially the mother-daughter ones, I do pull from personal experience. Obviously, my sister relationships that I have in books are completely, things that I've studied between my mother and my aunt, because I had 3 brothers. But, yeah, the mother-daughter one is definitely one that, obviously I am a daughter and I have a daughter, and I think that's just one of the most volatile relationships known to man. It's both wonderful and terrible at the same time.
But in the relationships that you describe, they're rarely one extreme or the other. They're always good at sometimes, bad at other times. The sister relationship involving home. Good at one time, bad at another time. So it's not like you just do a completely negative or everything's wonderful.
Because in your relationship that is always one way or the other. I don't know any relationship between 2 people that has been constant over time. It's definitely a changeable thing, and I try to write realistic situations, realistic characters.
I've had writers say to me, the hardest thing to write is the first sentence. Do you just sit down and it just comes to you and you just go with the flow, or?
Yeah, and the first sentence is always the first thing that comes, and I rarely have to change it. It's the stuff that comes after that's the part of opening a vein and just... The first sentence, because everything is like so full of possibility at that point. You can say anything. Once you say that first sentence, the rest of it's like, oh, I've got to live up to the standard of that first sentence.
But maybe I'm mistaken, but it seems to me one time you and I were talking and you said something about the book was going this way and then suddenly the character changed it.
Oh, definitely.
So that does happen.
Yeah.
And a minor character may come to the front and say, hey, look at me, I'm important.
Right, or a character will just step onto the page and become a very important character, like Sophie Wallen in the Trad Street series. She's the best friend of Melanie Mills, and when I started writing that book, I didn't know Melanie had a best friend, and then Sophie walks in and she takes over. She's just an excellent, excellent character, and she's a lot of readers, it's their favorite character.
And that's one thing that I know today, we were talking to some people, and they said you have to read the series, first book, second book, third book. And you don't. They stand alone. I really do think they stand alone. But, boy, it's enhanced.
I agree. I agree. And they're written that way.
Because you develop an affinity to those characters.
Right. And you want to know what happens.
And that richness of that relationship builds with each book.
Right.
But you do 2 books a year.
I know.
How do you do that? And have a husband and children and
go
on tour for the books, because people don't realize either that you spend a lot of time publicizing these books.
I do, because it's part of the job, and it is one of the more fun parts of the job is meeting readers and going out and meeting booksellers and all of that. I have just learned I always bring my laptop wherever I am. I've been in a roadside, like fender bender while we waited for the police. I'm working.
When the cops get here, just let me know. I've got a few But
you know, seriously, and I can write it.
do you write in long?
Oh gosh, no. I type everything.
All right, okay.
And I have one of the real lightweight, the Mac Air book. Yeah, so it only weighs 2.2 pounds, and that's why I always have big purses, because I'll only buy a purse if my laptop can fit it.
Well, you have had a lot of success. You and I have been friends a long time.
Yes.
I think the world of you. It's sometimes an awkward situation. No, I can't say it's an awkward situation reviewing your books because they're always so good.
Good to hear, since I'm about to send you an advanced copy of another one. So.
But you know, I'll always tell you the truth. You know that.
I know that.
But you are super talented lady.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming down here. And I'm so glad we got a chance to talk on television.
Thank you. I appreciate
Ladies and gentlemen, Karen White.
Thank you.
Okay, folks, just a reminder, that book is The Strangers on Montagu Street, and it's out this week.